Hi, I'm Jeanette Lee. Take a cue from me and watch Sports and Torts with David Spada and Elliott Harris on TalkZone.com.
This is David Spada along with my co-host Elliott Harris and our special guest today, lingerie football player, Playboy model, Nadia Larissa. But let's get right to our next guest, a gentleman who played for the Green Bay Packers back in the heyday in the 60s, a guy who was a 5-time All-Pro, a member of the 50th anniversary team, a gentleman who was a writer, wrote Instant Replay, a broadcaster, a gentleman who is a man for all seasons, Jerry Kramer. How you doing, Jerry?
Hey, I'm doing great, thanks.
Jerry, David Spada here. I mean, look at all these accomplishments here. Why are you not in the Hall of Fame?
I guess you'd have to ask some of the folks who vote on that. I have stayed away from that quite a bit, but it's interesting, that most people think I am in the Hall of Fame. I had a couple situations in the last 2 or 3 years where I'm working with the veterans, the older players, the alumni on the disability pension issues, and working with Commissioner Goodell. And about 3 years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, he called and said, "Jerry, you going to Canton?" I said, "No." He said, "How come?" I said, "Commissioner, I'm not in the Hall of Fame." "You're not? Are you kidding me? What is that about?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just not in the Hall of Fame." And he was stunned, of course. And then, John Hanna, the New England Patriots guard?
Sure.
John had been in there for 25 years, and John called me a couple years ago, a year after the commissioner, and said, "Jerry, are you going to Canton?" "No." "How come?" "Well, I'm not in the Hall of Fame." "You're not?" So I guess maybe most people think I am, and they don't pay that much attention to it, maybe. I don't really know.
Maybe we can sneak a bust of you and a plaque, and some night just throw it into the Pro Football Hall of Fame there in Canton, and nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, he's been here all along.
How about this game coming up Sunday, the Bears-Packers? We know who you're rooting for.
Doesn't get any bigger than that. I don't think the Super Bowl will be as big as or as exciting to the guys playing in the game as this game will be. It'd be interesting to hear them afterwards, but this is huge, and there's a lot of ironic twist to it, kind of. I think, first of all, we're playing for the Halas Trophy. George Halas, the great patriarch of the Bears and NFL founder, and had such an impact on the league.
And legendary cheapskate.
And then, if we win the George Halas Trophy, we get to play for the Lombardi Trophy. So I'm sure the Chicago
people in
Bears
Chicago think it should be the other way around, that the Halas Trophy should be the NFL championship,
Well, everybody's got an opinion.
Jerry, what made the Packers so successful back in the 60s?
Oh, well, in a word, it was Lombardi and his philosophies and his principles. Plus, we had a bunch of pretty bright guys, pretty capable guys, not always the best athletes in the world, but good, aware, made very, very few mistakes. In fact, George Halas probably gave us the greatest compliment we ever had during that era. We were playing the Bears up in Green Bay, and our games were always 14-7, 9-6, 14-10, 10-3. They're always pretty tight games and defensive games. And a reporter asked Coach Halas after the game, said, "What happened, Coach?" He said, "Well," he said, "we knew where they were going, and that we knew when they were going there, and we knew why. But there wasn't anything we could do about it."
You guys were just loaded. I mean, with athletes. You had Bart Starr, Paul Hornig, Jimmy Taylor. You were a Hall of Fame team.
And a pretty good defense, too.
We were after Lombardi arrived. There were 13 guys on that team in the season before Lombardi arrived that went 1-10-1 and had the worst record in the history of the Packer franchise. So those guys weren't Hall of Famers or Pro Bowlers that year, but they became Pro Bowlers and Hall of Famers by listening to Coach Lombardi talk about preparation, commitment, consistency, discipline, perseverance, character, pride, all the things he stood for. And literally, he taught us the time that he was there, not only how to become successful football players, but I think successful human beings.
Has the day when a coach like Lombardi can have that sort of impact, has that come and gone? Nowadays, it seems like a lot of coaches are just interchangeable parts.
You know, it's an interesting question, and I've pondered it before. And I think two things. I think the players want to win as badly today as they have ever wanted to win. And I think if they have a coach that they believe knows how to win, that they'll do whatever they can. They'll adjust their personality, or they will do whatever they need to do. You know, Rex Ryan is a pretty good example of that. But I believe they do whatever they need to do to win. And if the coach tells them they need to do this, then I think they would. And, you know, Coach Lombardi could adjust a little bit, too. We had a situation out in Santa Monica one time with Ray Nitschke, where Ray was in the bar, sitting at the bar, and it was against rules. If you're going to be in the bar, sit at the table. Don't act like a hood and stand at the bar. And Coach Lombardi and three coaches came in and caught him at the bar. And it was a real dark little place called Shay J's in Santa Monica. And Ray could have walked out, and probably no one would have noticed, but he decided to send Coach Lombardi a drink. Bad idea. Coach said, "What is this?" Well, it's from that gentleman at the bar. What gentleman? Who is that? Is that Nitschke? Get him out of here. Get him on the plane. Send him home. He's done. He'll never play another game for Green Bay. He's out of here. I don't ever want to see him again. Get him on a plane tonight. Right now. And he gets up and heads back across the street to the hotel, and the coaches are following along behind him, pleading, "We don't have another middle linebacker, and let's think about this." No, he's gone. That's it. He's done. So 2 hours later, we're having a team meeting, and the coaches had time to chill out a little bit and cool out a little bit and think about what kind of a ball player Nitschke is and where we are. And he addresses the team, and he says, "I tell you what, Nitschke's breaking the rules, standing at the bar, and I told him he's done. I told him he's through, but I don't think it's fair of me to do that. And I'm going to put it to a vote. I'm going to let the team vote whether we keep Nitschke or not." So, believe it or not, we voted to keep him. So the coach fined him $50, and the incident was forgot about.
Where was Paul Hornick? He wasn't at the bar that night, too?
Well, Horning had enough sense to sit in the back of the room at a table or somewhere out of sight. He was more experienced probably than Nitschke.
Now, do you think Lombardi could have dealt with the athletes of today and their egos and their big mouths and all that other stuff?
You know, the thing about Lombardi is that he was right most all the time. And when he was wrong, when he made mistakes, he would push you. And he would push you, and he would push you. And there were 2 or 3 times, 3 or 4 times in my life when he pushed me too hard. And I was ready to punch him in the mouth. And he knew that. And he walked away from me for about 3.5, 4 minutes to where I got cooled down a little bit. Long story. But to make it short, after he saw that I had cooled down, and he could read me like a book, I mean, read every page, he came over and hit me alongside the head and messed up my hair and patted me on the neck and, "Oh, I wasn't talking to you. Come on, I didn't mean you." So he could apologize and reestablish that communication. And if he didn't communicate with you, and if you didn't buy into his philosophy, as several players didn't, then you were gone. You're out of there.
How did he feel about you writing the book about the 67 season instant replay when you did it?
Well, you know, Dick Schaap and I were working on that book, and I had a sentence in there that talked about a short, fat Italian who had dominated my life, and I was pretty angry when I was talking about it. And then we're going over the proofs for the book, and I said, "Dick, we can't leave that in." "Oh, yeah, we're going to leave it in. That's what you said. You know, it was part of the moment. You were angry, and that's the way you reacted, and that's real." I don't care if it's real or not. I'm not leaving that in. So we go back and forth for about 3 months, and he finally convinces me that I should leave that bit in. And, okay, the book is published, and I am struggling with the short, fat Italian part. I'm struggling with a salutation for Coach Lombardi. I don't want to say good luck or best wishes or something inane like that, so I'm struggling with that. And I give all the players books, and I give the coaches books, and I'm working on Coach Lombardi's book, and Marie Lombardi comes up to me as we're boarding a bus to go to Milwaukee for a ball game. Where's my book? All the coaches have books. All the players have books. I don't have a book. Where's my book? And I had finally decided on how to inscribe the book to the coach. I wrote, for Coach Vincent T. Lombardi, a man against whom all others shall forever be measured. Now, I like that, and I thought that would offset the short, fat Italian part pretty well, too. So I gave her the book. She reads it on the way down to Milwaukee. That night, she's reading it. The next morning, I get on the elevator, and she steps on the elevator, and she said, Jerry, I love the book. I loved it. It helped me to understand. I said, what, football? She says, no, him.
Wow.
So she enjoyed it, and the coach actually complimented me on it in a very quiet, almost embarrassed way. You did a good job, Jerry. You did a good job.
Now you got a Broadway play about him.
Yeah. Isn't that a kick?
Did they have a Jerry Kramer part in that play? I
went to the opening night, and they mentioned my name a couple, 3 times in the play and whatnot, and I just loved the opening night. I just had a wonderful time. Chris Olson, my producer on the Lombardi movie that we've been working on since I was a small child, also went with me, and we did the runway and the paparazzi thing, and I'm making all my moves and gestures and smiling and enjoying the hell out of it. And then I enjoyed the play. I was too close to it to judge it fairly. I knew the original, I knew the man, and so Dan I thought did just a wonderful job. But I kept comparing him to Lombardi. So I just enjoyed it. It was a wonderful evening.
One last question. We have Nadia Larissa, a guest host in studio. She's a lingerie football player. Could Coach Lombardi have coached lingerie football?
Say that again. Could he have coached what?
Could he have coached these lingerie football players they have out now?
Female football players.
Lingerie football.
See, you live long enough?
I think he would have let Horning and McGee handle
it. Thank you again, Jerry, for your time. We really appreciate it, and may the best team win on Sunday between the Bears and Packers.
Amen. Amen. Should be a hell of a contest, and I'm going to be glued to it. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you again.